Good Morning Liberty.
Well, what is up, all of our liberty-loving friends? This is another fantastic episode of Good Morning Liberty. My name is Nate Thurston. Across from me is Mr. Charles Chuck Thompson. How's it going today, Chuck?
Great.
What's up, man?
Yeah. I tell you what, yesterday was or last night, 40, 50 mile per hour gusts.
It's been crazy around here.
It was weird.
I feel the house move when the wind blows out there.
Yeah, I don't think this is a tornado shelter.
No, it's definitely not.
This building here.
We're in the worst spot for a tornado.
Yeah.
We talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of meaning every single day of the week. When we want to smash follow, subscribe, tell a friend, a family member, go to GodHatesFeds.com, do all those things. We had a speech last night from the President of the United States named Donald Trump. It was not a State of the Union, although it was kind of a State of the Union. Technically a joint address to Congress.
Typically States of the Union are after like a year's worth of work.
Yeah. This was sort of a victory lap / campaign. If it was someone that we disagreed with on everything, we'd call it a propaganda speech. Just being honest, not an actual State of the Union. So we'll go through some of the clips from last night. My initial reaction to it is the same as yours, which is that there wasn't anything substantial. Like I thought that maybe this was going to be a night where some new policy ideas were put forward, where he directed Congress to balance the budget or officially defund USAID or do it, follow along with Doge and claw back some of these appropriations or rescind some of the, I thought that there was going to be something substantial, maybe announcing further tax cuts or something like that. And
he did kind of do the tax cuts.
He talked about no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, overtime, and then a new tax deduction, which would be interest on car loans if the car is made in the USA.
And retroactive business taxes.
He talked about 100%. That kind of thing.
Yep.
So
and he did say that, the Republicans are going to vote for it, and he's like, none of you are going to vote for it.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a mandate. I'll say the first thing I learned is that America's back, baby.
We're back.
It's back.
America is back.
It's you could call it propaganda, whatever it is. It was a victory lap. It was a
campaign speech.
It was campaign.
Maybe he misses the campaign.
It was exposure, continued exposure of one side that's just kind of lost touch with reality. And I think he's further trying to expose that. Not only I think for the MAGA movement or his legacy, but I think it's kind of continuing to try to set the path forward, which in a way kind of gives me a bit of a hope. And it's also it's a punchback. I mean, Trump is not a guy who, releases grudges. He's going to find a way to get you back at some point.
Yeah.
And I thought one of the funniest parts last night was when he said, that they tried to take him out, and they went after their political opponent. They went after him, and then he say it didn't work. It was very bad.
His political opponent, like me. How did that work out? Not too good. Not too good.
That
and
right
he
there.
Points at all of them.
There you go. Not too good.
And so, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I think we said this before. Politics is theater. I mean, I enjoyed it last night. I really did.
I tried to figure out the purpose behind it, and we were sort of speculating about this. I mean, the Democrats were just being dumb last night. I mean, they show up, a bunch of them wearing pink. They have all these stupid little signs that say stupid stuff.
By the way,
them.
wearing pink after they voted yesterday to allow men in sports.
Yeah.
Or voted against.
They're holding signs that say Musk steals on them. Imagine people who work in Congress who steal your money for a living. Like that's what they do. They take money from you without your permission. And then a guy comes in and he's trying to decrease the amount of money that they take from you without your permission, or he at least tries to stop some of the wasteful spending of that money, and he's the one who steals. I think the phrase that like the mainstream media might use is that Democrats were out of touch last night. And they were, and that almost could be the whole point of the speech last night, because I think they were prepared for this policy-driven speech, this, an hour and a half of here's what we're going to do to make America great again. And really what we got for a long time were stories about people that were up there in the gallery, like here's this person, their family member was killed, and then we have this bill, here's this person, and here's this kid that has cancer and all that. And that was like half the speech. And they were prepared to just protest every like economic policy throughout there. And instead, he was just like highlighting these poor people up here whose family members got killed. And they just looked dumb as hell last night, honestly. They did.
He took a page out of the Democrat playbook, by the way.
He kind of did, yeah.
Which is, let's tell personal stories, make it emotional, and then because of that, you can't argue against it, and then you make other people look bad.
So by the way, to get into this, among people who watched the speech last night, now keep in mind, especially this not even being an actual State of the Union, more Republicans are going to watch than Democrats, the speech. Okay, so keep that in mind. But among the people who watched the speech last night, there's already polling done on this from CBS News, YouGov. 76% of the people who watched approved of Trump's speech, 23% disapproved. That's probably about the balance of the audience, honestly. It's probably about 76% Republicans and 23% Democrats. You kind of see that number a lot. Let's see, time spent by Trump on issues that you care about. 63% said a lot, and then 28 said a little, and 9 said none at all. What else do we have here? The speech made you feel hopeful or proud. That's in the 68 and 54% range, and then you are back in the 16% for worried or angry. Let's see. Trump was, we had presidential, entertaining, inspiring, unifying, and divisive down there at 46%. And what else did we have? Did he have a clear plan for inflation? 68% of people said yes.
No.
I didn't really hear
it. No.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
In fact, he talked an awful lot about tariffs. And here's the deal. Tariffs are going to increase prices. John just sent me another screenshot from another email that he got this morning. Literally, our friend John, who has that AV business that we were talking about yesterday, just got this email. And they said that previously, this is what I mentioned yesterday, that said that they were going to absorb some of the costs of the tariff so they didn't have to raise their prices as much. And then the additional new 10% on China that they just announced, they just went back on that and said, yeah, we can't absorb these tariffs. The prices are going to go up by at least 15% for everyone, just based off of the new tariffs that have been put on. Prices are going to go up on things. It is going to be inflationary. Now, whether or not that comes out in the wash is better for people, that could take some time, which he did allude to last night. Like he said, he was talking about farmers and all that. He was like, bear with me, essentially saying like, there's going to be times of trouble.
There's going to be some pain.
Okay, there's going to be a little bit of pain. And hey, if you, not exactly on tariffs, but if you were to fix America, if you were to do like austerity programs and all that, there would be pain ahead. I mean, you take a heroin addict off of heroin, and they're going to have a tough time there for a bit. Like there's going to be some pain when you're coming off of that addiction. In this case, it's a financial addiction. So, people in Javier Milei told people in Argentina that. They knew that. There's going to be a little bit of pain ahead when you're taking away all these subsidies and welfare programs and stuff like that.
We've talked about that as libertarians.
Yeah.
I still don't know if tariffs are the way to do it. But I'm going to be hopeful.
Yeah.
I'm going to be hopeful and say like, okay, perhaps this could end up in better trade deals potentially. I don't
like taxes.
I don't either. But what I'm saying is that I think America has the most leverage. And so if you get into a trade war with other countries, America is the largest market, right? We're the biggest purchaser. So if you get into trade wars, eventually America was going to come out on top.
Yeah.
I don't care if you put 1,000,000% tariff.
Yeah.
If you keep going back and forth, it's going to hurt other countries more.
And it does hurt the other countries. Like we're libertarians. We talk about how we don't like tariffs and all that. We talk about how it's tax on consumers and you're just hurting yourself. If I just want to be clear to some of the libertarians listening, if it only hurt you when you put a tariff on, this is something I've been realizing. Listen to the response from these countries. The countries we're putting tariffs on, they're not just like, well, who cares? That's just a tax on your people. Why would I care about that tariff? I don't care that you just put a tariff on. No, they're like mad about it because they know that it's going to hurt their economy. Which means it does have an effect on those countries. It's not only an effect on our country.
Because what do we know about taxes? What you tax, you get less of.
Yeah.
And so if you impose, the more taxes you impose on imports, that's the less goods that those countries can sell to our country because suppliers aren't going to be buying as much.
We got to play some of the clips.
Josh says they're tariff-fied.
Yeah. This was actually I'm going to start with my favorite one of the night, which is just, I've probably watched this like 10 times. I showed it to Lacey when she got home from dinner last night. I was like, watch this clip of Trump. This is so funny. And this is when he was talking about some of the Doge savings and running through some of the ridiculous stuff. And it's the tone of his voice and the way that he says it. I don't know what it is, but I just thought it was like the most hilarious clip I've heard from him. He's a comedian. And
he really is.
And it played really well. Here's some of that.
They identified $22 billion from HHS to provide free housing and cars for illegal aliens. $45 million for diversity, equity, and inclusion scholarships in Burma. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that is. $8 million to promote LGBTQI+ in the African nation of Lesotho, which nobody has ever heard of. $60 million for indigenous peoples and Afro-Colombian empowerment in Central America. $60 million. $8 million for making mice transgender. This is real.
All right, now I was telling Charlie earlier, unfortunately that one is not real. I do just want to clarify this is something that's been repeated over and over again, that $8 million was for transgenic mice, not transgender mice. And it was reported on X and stuff like that as for transgender mice. Now, to be clear, they've also spent a bunch of money on transgender mice.
Yes.
Too. Okay.
Yeah.
But that one specifically was for transgenic mice, which is where they make their genetics closer to a human so they can do more testing on medication. And that's
so they can torture them.
So they can torture the poor little mice.
Yeah.
But that's transgeneticism.
Yeah.
There's your lesson on that. There's a couple funny moments in there, like when he called Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas to her face.
And then you could tell she's angry.
Yeah,
she's like shaking.
She was like smiling.
Yeah, but her head is shaking.
I was awkward watching the clip, watching the clip.
With no end in sight.
And by the way, he's talking about the Ukraine war, and it is funny. It's like the only time you got an applause out of the Democrats was when they started talking about Ukraine. And it's just, I'm getting closer and closer to this was the entire point of the speech. Like, he named all these good things, and people, America, he should have really hammered this home more when he was talking about Doge. Like, he lists off all this ridiculous stuff that Doge had found, I guess. You really got to hammer that home afterwards. Talk to the American people afterward. I wanted to hear him say, this is your money. We took this money from you. And hey, he wants to eliminate the income tax, so he should go ahead and say this too. Like, we took this from you without your permission. We told you what amount of money you had to give to us, and we just took it out of your check.
We squandered it.
You had no say-so in the matter. And here we are spending $40 million in Burma, and whatever the other names of the countries were. Like, I really wanted to hear that kind of a tag after he listed those things and speaking to
he could have even
American
blamed
people.
it largely on Democrats.
Could have.
That's another way of being like, not only did we steal your money, but we've squandered it. And it largely of these Democrat programs who want to fund transgender mice or whatever you wanted to say.
Now, Thomas Massey had before we move on to the Pocahontas thing, Thomas Massey had a great point last night. He said Congress just stood up and applauded Doge for exposed wasteful and fraudulent programs that Congress itself funded. and plans to fund in the coming continuing resolution. So it is really nice that they can laugh, they can stand up and applaud. Him calling out wasteful spending that those people funded and are about to fund again.
By the way, also, remember, Trump signed into law one of the biggest spending bill in American history in 2020.
Trump signed a bunch of that funding.
It's like
a lot of it, you know?
So
that's the thing with the bureaucratic agencies, which was my comment on Massey's post here. It creates this layer of separation from what actually happens. Like, sure, Congress, they appropriate the money, but it's the agency who decides to do all the stupid stuff with it. It's not Congress.
Yeah.
You know, they don't go line by line through the agency's funding and appropriate it all separately to all of these stupid programs. They give USAID the money, and then, of course, it's those people in the unelected bureaucracy that decide to spend the money on really stupid stuff. And it's not Trump who signed the law or Biden who signed the law who made that mistake either. It's the people at these agencies that are the problem. So it gives all of these people deniability.
Mm-hmm.
They actually stand up and applaud and they laugh for things that they funded.
Yes.
It's wild.
And so then what do you do about that? That's where I wish Trump would have given more of a mandate.
Yeah.
When he talked about balancing the budget. It's like, okay, you're going to balance the budget. You're going to direct Congress to actually get rid of this erroneous spending?
He's speaking to Congress, so not only should he have given that message to the American people, this is your money that's being wasted, he should have looked at Congress right there and said, you guys that are applauding right now, you gave them this money to do these things, okay? So stop doing it. Stop doing that. We just had a Supreme Court decision came out this morning and said that they have to pay out that $2 billion that was frozen from USAID. Specifically, it's not as bad as it sounds. Specifically, they have to pay out for work that was already completed prior to Trump's order, which was on February 13th. So they have to pay out for that work. It's not a ruling on all of the funding for USAID or anything like that. But like, point them out in the room and say, you guys are about to craft a bill and sign a bill and send it to my desk. And here's the deal. All these things I just called out, I don't want funding for any of them in this bill, or I'm not going to sign it. And the government's going to shut down, and it's going to be your fault. All of you guys, it's going to be your fault when that happens.
Yes.
He could do that if he wanted to.
And that would be a real tough guy move.
It would.
That would be actual tough guy.
But apparently that was not the point of the speech last night. So back to the Pocahontas thing, because you might as well listen when stuff is funny. Here we go.
The United States has sent hundreds of billions of dollars to support Ukraine's defense with no security, with no anything.
That's all the
You want to
Democrats
keep it going for another 5 years? Yeah. You would say Pocahontas says yes.
See how she's shaking? She's so mad.
Has he ever called her Pocahontas to her face before?
I don't know.
I mean, guys, how do you get away with this? I want to know. You lied about being a Native American.
Yeah.
To get into college, to get jobs, to get funding. You lied about being a Native American.
Yeah.
You're so much less Native American than I am Asian. You know, I'm 12.5% Asian.
Yeah.
And she's like a 256th or something like that Native American, which probably goes for like, you know, half the people in America
or more.
You know,
yeah.
And it's just like people just let it slide all of a sudden. It's crazy that's the case.
By the way, this is why people voted for Trump.
Yeah,
I mean, they enjoy this like we all do. I mean, we all enjoy it to be able to call people out. By the way, while we're on Ukraine, I saw some interesting things last night of people being like, where's the letter from Zelensky? Like, what is Trump talking about? So Trump mentioned the letter that Zelensky sent him. It was breaking news yesterday that Zelensky's like, oh, we're ready for peace.
Yeah.
We're ready to sign the deal. I'm really sorry. By the way, Zelensky posted the letter on his X account.
I saw that
So
earlier.
it's
I don't
there.
have it pulled up, but I did see it.
I bookmarked it for you.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So
I did. Yeah, that's where I saw it.
So
It was in our
Zelensky
bookmarks.
posted the letter on his X. You don't have to be like, well, I want to see this letter. He literally posted it.
Yeah.
He posted it like 5 or 6 hours before Trump's speech last night. So Zelensky is literally saying, "Hey, I'm coming back to the table. I'm actually sorry. It is true that Trump did send us javelin, basically." I'll just read it for you. This is what Zelensky said on his X account. "I would like to reiterate Ukraine's commitment to peace. None of us wants an endless war. Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than Ukrainians. My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts."
Yeah.
So it's so funny when we covered this and just to see like the crazy woke leftists about how Zelensky was the only man in the Oval Office. Like what Trump did worked, and it worked very quickly.
It did.
By the way.
Yeah.
We're ready to work fast in the war, and the first stages could be the release of prisoners and truce in the sky, ban on missiles, long-range drones, bombs on energy and other civilian infrastructure, and truce in the sea immediately. If Russia will do the same, then we want to move very fast through the next stages and work with the U.S. to agree a strong final deal. We really do value how much America has done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence, and we remember the moment when things changed when President Trump provided Ukraine with javelins. We are grateful for this.
Yeah.
Our meeting in Washington at the White House on Friday did not go the way it was supposed to be. It is regrettable that it happened this way. It is time to make things right. We would like future cooperation and communication to be constructive. Regarding the agreement on minerals and security, Ukraine is ready to sign it at any time and in any convenient format. We see this agreement as a step toward greater security and solid security guarantees, and I truly hope it will work effectively. This is basically his plea to Trump, sending a letter saying, okay, I got your message that I'm not invited back until I'm ready to make peace, and I've thought about it.
And I'm ready to make peace.
I thought about it, and without your country's help, we're screwed.
Yeah.
And so I'm ready to make peace.
Listen, the bad part about the minerals deal is that it essentially is a security guarantee. Like if they set up this minerals deal and a bunch of American corporations go in there and spend hundreds of billions of dollars to build new mines. By the way, it's not for the existing mines and the existing minerals that are getting mined in Ukraine. It's for the new ones that our future investment help build. All right. And so if we have American companies go in there, and probably our government too, go in there and spend hundreds of billions of dollars to build these mines, that is a de facto security guarantee. Those are what we call American interests, which we have gone to plenty of war over defending. And so that's actually the worst part about the mineral deal, is that it is a NATO without a NATO, because that is as much an American interest as I've seen.
Exactly.
As a pretext for any other kind of engagement that we've been involved in.
Yeah, if Russia tries to march in on Ukraine when American factories,
you're attacking American companies that are over there. Like that's
a security guarantee.
And he can't say it's a security guarantee because he still needs Putin to sign the deal.
Yes.
Why don't people understand this? God bless
America.
Okay. God bless America. Everyone.
All right, we're running out of time.
Yeah, we got a little bit more time here. There was, right at the beginning, Representative Al Green was removed. I was worried the whole night was going to go that way.
Have we ever seen a call to decorum like this during a State of the Union?
I've never seen it.
Yeah.
Now, there have been a couple outbursts in the past. There was the one, I can't remember the guy's name, Joe something, who yelled, "You lie" at Obama. And I believe that's when he said, "If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor," which ended up being like lie of the year.
Yeah.
From even left-wing publications. I think that was what that was in relation to. And then Marjorie Taylor Greene, either last year or the year before, had yelled some stuff a couple times, but there is a difference. Like, she didn't just stand up and was yelling anytime Biden was trying to talk and disrupting the entire thing. Like, she got up, she yelled her piece, whatever it was, and maybe she got up again, yelled her piece, whatever it was, and then that was it. Okay, this guy clearly was going to shake his cane and yell at Trump throughout, as long as they would let him do it, and try to prevent Trump from speaking, which you don't have a right to do. All right, let's play what happened. And unless you're in Great Britain, by the way, if you're over there, you can just yell whatever you want while people are saying. Maybe that is the way that we should do it.
Yeah,
you know, but that's not how we do things here.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to cease any further disruptions. That's your warning. Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum. And
if you look closely, that is an assault cane.
It is.
So yeah, they could have actually.
That's a high capacity.
Secret Service could have
the Sergeant at Arms
taken
to
him out.
restore order to the joint session. Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant at Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
Okay, so that happened.
Medusa sounds like a libertarian convention.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Actually.
Well, there'd be a lot more point of orders, though.
I tell you, I was at the Trump speech, the Libertarian Convention. It was, I can't handle being uncomfortable like that, so I left the room.
You were
I
secondhand embarrassed.
I thought it was very disrespectful, in my opinion. Just let the person speak, and when it's time to applaud, just boo instead. But when someone has been asked to come speak somewhere, or when someone is speaking, like, you don't just have the right to prevent them from speaking. And this is something that's happened on the left that we've seen increasing over time since like the 2010, 2014 time that they just decide that they're going to prevent people from speaking. And that's not the same thing as free speech. It's just not, even though we have a couple dumb bleep submissions of people saying, like this David Leavitt guy saying, Trump claims he brought free speech back after removing a man from exercising his free speech. And no, that's not the case. I mean, you think if Marjorie Taylor Greene would have stood up there and actually tried to prevent Joe Biden from continuing with the speech and like wouldn't let him speak without yelling over him the whole time, that they wouldn't have removed her and they wouldn't have felt great about it the whole time? Of course they would have.
And then they'd be making the same argument that we're making.
Yeah.
Which is you can't just prevent people from speaking. That's not free speech.
No. The Democrats just looked that it was a terrible night for them. Like, say what you will about maybe they truly care about what the people are going through or whatever, but this is just not it. Like, Trump was naming a lot of things that people are very much in favor of. Like, when he's talking about immigration and stuff, the American people are in favor of clamping down on immigration. You know, they've reduced illegal border crossings by like 98%.
98%.
I saw the numbers. It's
in
ridiculous.
40 days.
Yeah. And I like how he called them out. And he's like, they said, oh, we have to have legislation. And he's like, all it took was a new president. And that was
actually funny too. That was a really funny line too. Yeah.
And so the American people like that. When it comes to the transgender stuff, like 80% of the American people think that men should not be playing in women's sports. You know,
it's an easy win.
It's a very popular thing.
Yeah.
And they just looked ridiculous last night. Like, for the 15 minutes he spent on economics, they were ready. You know, they had their resistance. What are they resisting? They want the tax cuts to expire. Those tax cuts were tax cuts for regular folks too. Everyone got tax cuts. Mm-hmm. And so they're resisting those expiring too. Yeah. They want taxes to go up on everyone.
No tax on tips, no tax on overtime. Extremely popular.
What are they resisting? Sending $40 million for whatever gay thing it is in Burma, you know, or for sedentary migrants,
whatever that is.
You know, they're resisting. Like, no, the American people don't want their money to be wasted. Mm-hmm. Even people who are Democrats are probably like, okay, well, that's kind of dumb.
Yeah,
you know, I pay taxes too. This is also my money that's going towards this stuff. And so, like, what are they even protesting against? I'm not even sure what they're. I'll tell you one thing that they're protesting against, and it's it stems off of. I've seen a lot of comments about this statement where Donald Trump said, "The days of rule by unelected bureaucrats are over," and of course, this is at the same time that he's recognizing Elon Musk and Doge. And he says, the days of rule by unelected bureaucrats are over. And the left talking point in response to that line right there is, oh, he means the ones except for Elon Musk. They're fine with that unelected bureaucrat.
Or Pocahontas
writing
afterwards
things.
saying nobody voted for Elon.
Yeah.
Like,
But here's the difference. And I posted this out on X earlier. Those unelected bureaucrats that he's talking about are people who are running your lives. They make laws, which are called regulations.
Also,
and they affect everything that you do on a daily basis.
they also pad the pockets of these folks.
Yeah. And they send money
That's
out
what-
to Stacey Abrams' NGO and stuff like that. And
John Bolton.
yeah, John Bolton, whoever else, there's all kinds of money going out the door.
Yeah.
They're just fine with those unelected bureaucrats. And the one that they don't like is the one who is there to call out the unelected bureaucrats. Like, Elon Musk is not there to find ways to put more regulations on your life and cost you a bunch more money and just totally run your life without laws being passed and all that. That's not what Musk is doing. That's what all the other unelected bureaucrats do. Musk is there to try and keep the unelected bureaucrats in check. And of course, all of his authority or anything he says, it has to go through the president in the first place. Nothing, that he says has any real legal teeth behind it. It's got to be in order from Trump to do a thing. And he's just trying to make sure those things are done, and they're trying to identify waste and fraud and abuse in the budget. And that's the only unelected bureaucrat they care about. That's the only one they get rid of if they could. They'd hire 1 million more if they could. They would raise your taxes and hire 1 million more bureaucrats if they could, and they would get rid of Elon Musk because he's the one who's calling out the other unelected bureaucrats that steal your money.
And Musk is doing it for no money.
Yeah.
He's not even making a salary.
In fact, Tesla's getting hit pretty darn hard right now. This could end up being pretty bad for him in the long run. I saw a report
not
earlier.
in the long run.
If he tarnishes, if his name is tied too directly to Trump, it could.
Well, what I'm
could
saying
hurt.
is think about the alternative, which is America goes bankrupt and it's overrun by, illegal immigrants and all of that. Like, there's no America, which I think is what Musk weighed the options and said, okay, now he's talked about this. It's like, okay, we have to do something because America's not going to exist anymore.
He has to be a true believer in that. When he talks about going to Mars, it actually sounds like his goal is to make sure that civilization lasts long enough for us to create these technologies and make it to space and all that. Like, he's actually just trying to extend it, long enough for that to happen. And he talked about that on the Joe Rogan thing last Friday. It was pretty interesting. So anyway, I think we can just keep it there. I mean, we pretty much, the most ridiculous thing of the night, I guess I'll say, is when they recognize that kid with cancer, DJ. Now,
Yeah.
first off, it got me. I mean, I didn't cry, okay, but there could have been some, just slight increase from my tear ducts into my eyes there for a minute. It was a really cool moment that happened. And you know who didn't stand up and applaud for it?
Democrats. Yeah.
A black cancer surviving kid got named an honorary Secret Service agent, and it was a beautiful moment that I actually watched probably 3 or 4 times. Showed it to Lacey when she got home last night too. I was like, check this out. Check this out. Look at this clip right here. And so that
I
was a
cried.
cool moment.
I'll admit. I
And
cried.
tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
And look at his eyes, like how surprised he is. And his dad kept lifting him up. It was so cool. And out of all the things, how can you not cheer for that? Like,
So that was a good moment. And they couldn't even be brought to an applause for that. And I just think that's totally ridiculous. Listen, Republicans don't act the same way when it comes to this. Republicans seem to always be the ones that compromise towards the left all the time, which is one of the worst things about them, okay? But they will compromise towards the left on issues. And they also would have damn well stood up and clapped during that moment if it had happened while Joe Biden was giving a speech.
Yeah.
And that just those little childish babies over there, and it's just disgusting.
and this is something
to me.
Cruz talked about, which I remember watching, States of the Union previously. It does seem like Republicans at least show respect for certain things, even if they disagree. Like when Joe Biden was announced as the president, the Republicans stood up still. It's complete opposite of the victim crybaby left, which is why I think,
Which, by the way, they're
I think
protesting.
culture is shifting pretty rapidly right now.
They're protesting someone who's trying to make the government smaller,
Yep.
and of course getting stopped by courts all along the way. We got to go. Time to get out of here. Thank
All
you
right,
for
y'all.
hanging out.
Well, if you enjoyed today's episode, please share the show with a friend, a family member, or foe. Leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Go to GodHatesFeds.com or join GML.com to be part of the Fed Haters Club. And visit the links in the show notes to support the sponsors that support this show. If you do all of that, we'll be back again tomorrow. Hope you have a good day and a good morning, Liberty.